Hi, this is Mark with your update for the week commencing 24th of January 2010. Last week we had days and days where we were waiting for something to happen that would suit our trading methods, and suddenly on Friday, a bit like waiting for a bus, everything came at once. My normal method of trading is to trade breakouts and pullbacks, and here we see on the New Zealand dollar daily chart from last Friday that what I was telling my people is that what we were looking for is moves on a daily candle. We look for a pullback to 50 or even 61%, and on this particular chart we also had a trend line, so price has come down and broken through on a big candle. We don't expect, or we're not wanting to trade continuous, we want to pull back and then for a short. The reason being, had you got in at the 50% pullback here, you have 80 pip move there. Had you waited for it to go beyond, you had nothing. Equally, the Aussie dollar did the same thing. I haven't fibbed it here, but again, we'd fib this daily candle. You look for the pullback either to the EMA or to the 50% or 61.8. Now specifically, I had said to my followers on Friday to consider with the pound yen a pullback to 147. And the reason for this was, it wasn't a 50% pullback on this occasion, but if you notice here, this was a major sideways trend that had been going on for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Finally, price broke through on Thursday, so what do we want? We want to pull back. So we either want to pull back to the 147 line that held for a few weeks, or we look for the EMA. And in this case, it came back almost to the EMA at 147.20. Had you got in anywhere around here on Friday, you had 250 pips there. That is sufficient pips, more than many people will make in a month, and that was in one day. So all this boredom and waiting for things to happen here, if you wait and you're patient, you make the decent moves. Alternatively, what we have been doing of late, we've been doing a lot of what are called bounce trades. We've simply been taking shorts from this top line, and again it worked. Thursday it worked perfectly. So you would have been looking at 300 pip move there, and it worked at different times in the week. So longs at the bottom, shorts at the top. This is now a breakout, so what we look for next week, we'd look for a pullback. Quick look on the weekly here, and you see this is a huge candle. Normally huge candles are followed by pullbacks before the move carries on or reverses. So for next week on all of the pairs, finally for the dollar yen we were looking on Thursday for a break below 90.54, and again, so this wasn't a 50% pullback, this was a pullback to a previous area of support. So price comes down, finally closes below 90.50, comes back to the line and moves away 80, 70, 80 pips again. What you would have done here, because the 4-hour 200 EMA was up here and the 55, you would have considered a pullback as far as 90.70, but anywhere within this range here on the daily chart, and then perhaps your stop the other side of 91. But that is the standard way we play these things. So on to the week ahead. This is the Euro USD. Euro USD on a weekly chart, just make this a little smaller, easier for you to see for now. We have been watching in the last few weeks how this major trend line that goes back to January 2009, so it goes back a year. The last 5 weeks, price has bounced off this 55 EMA and failed to break below this weekly trend line. So, what has happened this week? Price has broken through a major weekly trend line, and this is a big candle. So what do we expect? We expect that price will pull back before a further move down. Possibly, of course, it could reverse and go the other way with it being Forex. But if we're looking to short, we are now in a downtrend, we have had a breakout, we're looking for a pullback. Where do we look? Well, the obvious places we look for, the final land in the sand would be back here, 78.6, and the trend line. So if price gets all the way back up here next week, then definitely look for clues to short at 43.25 area. But initially, we're going to be looking for a pullback to 42.21, or a stronger line there with the weekly 55 EMA is 42.58. So 42.50 would be a very good area to consider shorting. Now obviously we would do this from the daily chart. The problem with it all at the minute, there's lines everywhere here, but I showed you the other week, this is what's known as a flag pattern. And a flag pattern theory says that this move here should equal the move down. and this original move down was approximately 750 pips. So what I was saying to you last week is a break from here should take us down 750 pips, which will take us down into the region of 1.35. So far we have moved with this theory 300 and odd. Again, we look for a pullback. So this is the 42, 60, 50 area I was talking about earlier. Note the difficult point here is going to be breaking 1.400. Very strong support and resistance, very strong whole number psychological level, but we are in a downtrend. Watch the Bollinger Band again at open, because this has moved up. If this Bollinger Band starts to point up or closes, then look temporarily, at least on Monday, it'd be more likely to long than to short. Swissy, this is the weekly Swissy, broke through a weekly trend line that goes back to January last year again. This weekly Bollinger Band will be the clue as to direction for Monday. If it opens, then I would strongly suspect that price will continue to go up, which means then that the euro would go down. But again, consider a pullback, perhaps to 1.035 area before going long. Pound. Now, quick look at the dollar Swissy. Dollar Swissy again. This is on the daily. All sorts of things here. This was the weekly trend line. It broke and it's pulled above. We are around here and it's sat on it now. And again, this Bollinger Band will be the clue. Maybe as a limited move here, and a limited move up to here is 100 and odd pips, which would equal a limited move down on the euro to 1.400. And it all ties in. 99% of the time, 99% of the time in December, when the euro was going down, the Swissy was going up, and vice versa. This is the pound dollar on the daily. Again, on the daily, you look that now we have just broken through this area, but we've closed just above 1.6100. Difficult for Monday. I'm going to leave this perhaps because got a trend line here, horizontal support there. Stochastics are pointing down, and it does look very bearish at the moment, but it will be a little more tricky. This is on a weekly chart. No more real clues really, but that one's a little more tricky, unless of course we get a clue it's going to go up, and then we might be bouncing between here and here again. This is dollar yen weekly, still in a clear downtrend. Missed the entry 3 weeks ago, unfortunately, but on Friday, as I say, we caught a nice pullback to here. Again, this was a breakout, so a pullback again tomorrow. Fib this daily candle and look where that would take you for an entry. So we would look and say 50% pullback would take us to 90, which is a nice round hole figure. So again, look at the Bollinger Band here on the daily and on the weekly on the dollar yen. Consider area of 90.100, sorry, 90.00 as a possible area for pullback for short. Pound yen, very big move on Friday. Big moves are usually followed by a pullback, again as we just discussed. Again, because the candle was so big, I'm more likely to think of a pullback on a daily candle rather than on a weekly, and that again, 50% would take us back to 145, 146 area. That would be an interesting area to short. Euro pound has bounced off the bottom trend line. You'll notice as well, this seems to respect every fib and every trend line. On the way down, it stopped at the 38. On the pullbacks, it pulled back. Here, it stopped on this bottom trend line and 121.4 fib. It's tricky now. It's got to bounce between here and there. Stochastics starting to point up, suggest it goes up. If it's going to go up, then we start to consider 88.50 for possible shorts. But I'd leave that until the day after. Euro yen sat on a bottom trend line. The Euro CAD did this last week, bounced around all week, and then finally moved away. This is the huge area to be considering either a move back up or a breakout. On Monday, you would need a breakout followed by a pullback. Possibly move back up. We're outside the Bollinger Band, which is a clue that price is going to go back up. And if we look on the Euro CAD, if I can find it, this is what the Euro CAD did last week. It bounced double bottom, treble bottom on this 14732. Stochastics started to point up, and we finally got the move back up. Again, with this one, suspect the Bollingers will close. So, moral of the story: pullback, breakouts, and pullbacks. And I will put all the figures in my written analysis. Have a great week.